Welcome back, everybody. On today's video, I'm going to show you how to crown a small room, or any room really. This is a very small bathroom, 3 by 6. So let's get started. We need to determine the size of our crown, our exact size, by finding the exact size. Okay, it looks like it is 3 7/8. Now, I've already had one made from before. It's 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So we're going to use this one. Now we're going to take our block. I'm going to trace it on the ceiling and on the wall. Let me show you. Now I've created my lines by using my block. These lines don't have to extend all the way. These ones have to go into the corner. Now I've put some small dash marks around the ceiling to help me keep my crown straight. Alternatively, there are other tools available for doing corners and getting the angles. This is one of them. And then you lock it in place. Now you have your angle. You can use that on your saw to get your exact mitered angle. But my method with the pencil marks does not need an angle finder. Here's a friendly tip. Don't press too hard with your pencil, especially on new drywall. Not only do you make a dent with your pencil, but you'll also need to prime it, or something to get that pencil mark off, especially on an outside corner. So just lightly with the pencil. Pro tip. Now when you measure for your crown, you measure from the lower line you've created. This crown is exactly 35 inches. And then you write it on the wall right there. Once you have your sizes, you will just simply cut your crown to those measurements. Straight cuts. That room is just a simple rectangle. So my coding that I use, I've written this down to show you guys. Left inside, right inside. Left outside, right outside. So you would write this on the back of the piece that you're cutting. This way you don't make any mistakes and you cut the wrong end. You don't waste any materials. And if you have a more complicated space where you have different angles, if you're measuring angles and not doing necessarily the pencil on the ceiling trick, and you would use your angle finder and you would write down your particular angle. So this way, you won't, again, mess up your piece and waste material. Material is expensive, and that's your profit if you start wasting a whole bunch of materials. Okay, another pro tip. When you're cutting your piece, this one is the 35. When you're cutting your piece and you're measuring from the bottom, so it's the bottom mark on the ceiling, which is the bottom of the crown. If you cut your angle 2 degrees less than what you need, I will show you why that helps. I'm going to cut this right now and bring it in and fit it. Okay, now that you have your piece and you test fit it, you can see where the 2 degrees being cut off the piece. It doesn't have to be 2, it could be 3, it could be 1, doesn't really matter. It's just if it's a tight fit, the top might not fit you, but your bottom will, so you're going to struggle. And if you cut too much off at the bottom, you're not going to have a nice fit. So if you angle that top cut just a little bit, you'll have your fit. So then you mark where your ceiling line meets your crown. And then go cut it. Now, we take our same block that we know our crown is that size, and on the fence of your miter saw, you draw a line, which is already done on this one. You draw a line there, and you draw a line here. I've got several crowns, as you can see. Again, both sides of the fence. And it doesn't hurt to do it on a saw as well when it's at 45 degrees. Hard to do with one hand. There you go. Now, all crown is cut upside down. Now, you're normally used to seeing it like so, but you can't cut that angle with a saw. But you can when it's upside down. So on this one, it will be 45 degrees, roughly. And then you will use your lines to make sure your piece is exactly where it should be. And again, if you can see your pencil lines within an 1/8 or 1/16 even is fine. Now I'll cut from that tip to my pencil line. This cut turned out to be 46.1 degrees. Okay, here's how to apply the glue. Doesn't need to be heavy. Okay, you can do dashes. I use my finger as a guide, that way I can put it exactly where I want it. Now, some people say you have to nail all crown into the studs. Well, go ahead and try to find all those studs. They're not as easy as you think. It can be done. I used to do it, but I have a new way, and it would still crack occasionally. You'd have movement of anything, moisture, humidity, temperature. Things expand and contract at different rates. MDF expands differently than drywall and such. So the glue is the only for sure way that I've come across is no more nails. LePage, no more nails. Best stuff, all purpose. They have other one, crown and paneling, and it doesn't really matter. Glue is glue for this particular purpose. And now I can fire slightly shorter nails, don't have to worry about hitting anything. And I just fire these nails in. It's just basically a placeholder until the glue sets. That's just about the only way to do this now without any, won't get any cracks. Now, don't get discouraged if you have to make any adjustments or recuts. Because I had to take about almost an 1/8 off of this, but the angles were pretty much right bang on. I'm doing this with one hand, so now it looks like my block of wood is not 100%, but that's okay. The most important line is the ceiling one. The bottom one is not as important, so you want to try to follow the ceiling one as best you can. And that looks like a good fit. That's a good corner. Yeah, the wall is definitely warped, but with this method, it shouldn't be too bad. So there's my ceiling mark, but my base mark is quite a bit out. Doesn't really matter. The ceiling one is the most important. Try to follow that one. Now, I didn't fasten that in. You don't fasten the ends until you have the next piece ready to go. And that's just in case for fitment. So now I see that this is a good fit. I have one nail there. I will put all the nails in. And then I will do this piece. But I will not fasten this end until the next piece is in. Now, it's absolutely imperative that you glue the corners. You can glue it up there, you can glue it here, doesn't matter. I've glued my piece. Again, you don't need too much, just enough. And if you smear it while you're putting it up, you just wipe it with a wet rag. Now your walls and ceiling could be a little bit out, like this wall is quite a bit out. Now, that's usually an acceptable gap. You could easily caulk that and it won't crack. But for this purpose, I am going to fix it so the ceiling obviously rises a little bit here. I'm able to close that gap quite a bit, and it shows just how much the ceiling is out, 1/8 of an inch almost in this section. But now we got a nice tight fit. You can almost see the glue. It's almost oozing out, which is good. It doesn't have to be as tight, like put a piece of paper in there. You actually want that glue to be in there, in that joint. So if you manage to get it completely tight, then you've pushed all the glue out. So you do need a little bit of glue to stay in there for it to never crack. Now you just take a razor, cut, cut, cut. Now it's time for filling the nail holes. This is what I like to use, especially on MDF. If you use water-based fillers, they tend to swell up the area around the nail hole, and then you have to sand it out. It doesn't shrink, so when you fill it right to the top and just give it a wipe over, a light sand in 15 minutes, not even, and you're ready to paint. All right, it's time to caulk.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
I use DAP crown molding, made for crown molding, so it says it's crack proof. Total BS, and it says paintable in 30 minutes, and that's total BS too. It will shrink. There'll be a tiny, hairline crack in your paint, so don't paint till the next day. Anyway, this stuff does work really well, and it's not very expensive. There'll be a link in the description. I also use a dripless caulking gun. Has no trigger. It doesn't drip, just like it says, dripless. It's a dripless caulking gun. Nothing. It's a little harder with one hand. And that's all there is to it. And smooth it out with your finger. If you push too hard, you'll get lines. If you don't push hard enough, you'll get lines. It's all practice. Always have a rag on your shoulder. There we go. Perfect. That will dry. Perfect. Now if you screw up and you get too much caulking everywhere, your wet white rag and you just clean it up. It washes right off with water. You get it anywhere. In fact, it's not a terrible way just to do caulking anyway. It works. Just not too wet. It works. Caulking finished.
Oh, and I'm spent. Woo.
Do you smoke after sex?
I don't know, baby. I never looked.
Crown is finished. The one big benefit to crown is if you have bad walls, bad corners, a lot of older homes, the corners are horrendous. They have cracks, could be plaster with cracks. You put up some crown and now you have a fresh, new, straight line that you can paint against and really make it look like a new wall. When crown is done correctly, the more turns and jut outs you have, the nicer it looks.